rain.
Okay, our first week in Korea is in the books, and if I had to pick one favorite thing out of the many things we did, it would probably be the super spicy hot chicken in the Sinpo International Market. It was kind of like caramely hot heat goodness, and even though I was crying super salty hot tears, it was some of the tastiest fried chicken I've ever had.
All right, it's been a 1 week in Korea, and my favorite thing so far has been the popsicle store. There is a store that just is for popsicles. It's got rows and rows and rows of chest freezers, and they're cheap. They're like the equivalent of like 30 cents in the States. And there's just popsicle after popsicle, ice cream bars, anything on a stick or in a tube, and you can pick it out. And we've had so much fun going every single day and picking out something new and trying out new things. And they've got different flavors than we would normally be used to. They've got stuff like tomato and mung bean popsicles, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's been my favorite thing.
My favorite thing in the first week of being in Korea was the champion. My favorite thing in the champion was the go-karts, because you could race around and do races, but we just acted like we were driving at home. But sometimes we did a race, and sometimes we just go fast, even though we were just acting like it were normal drivers. And I loved the rock wall, because you could climb up and then just jump down. But when I did it once, I would jump down and my knee hit my chin and my tongue bleeded, but I was okay. My favorite thing in my first week in Korea was visiting Everland. It had tons of roller coasters, or probably just two. And my favorite ride in Korea was a wooden roller coaster, which was the biggest roller coaster in the whole world. Favorite thing was in North Korea was feeding the birds, cause birds are my favorite.
My favorite thing we did in Korea this week was exploring. I love seeing all the big buildings and bright lights and umbrellas everywhere. It was so beautiful.
Are you ready to learn all about the first week of Korea?
Hello from Korea, everybody. This is the first week of our Korean adventures as a family living in Korea for the next 3 months. So we wanted to give you an overview of what's happened this first week. And we wanted to be doing this every week while we're here. And so just to give you a taste of what we're up to, what it's like living abroad as a traveling family, and what we're up to.
If you're following us on the blog at diapersonaplane.com, we are doing a daily travel journal. And some days we're just a little bit late, but you can pretty much follow along with all our happenings, kind of everything we kind of observe, things we find interesting, and then we have been updating them as we discover things. Like one day at the grocery store, we had no idea what these type of fruit was, and then a couple days later we found out it was oriental melons, and they taste a lot like honeydew. So that's kind of what the travel journal is all about. Just what is it like as an American expat temporarily living in a new country?
Yeah, definitely take a look at the blog, because Catherine puts a lot of time into that. I'm kind of amazed at how much information she's able to quickly draw out. And it's kind of fun having more of a journal approach rather than, how would you say we have approached most of our blog posts?
Just like a review of everything, individual reviews of everything we did. This is fun because it's like a daily kind of a scope of how we spent our day.
Yeah, I think Catherine treats most of the posts kind of from a journalistic point of view, with the touch of family part, but kind of very factual. So here's exactly what you need to know. So it's been kind of fun doing more of a journalistic approach, just talking about what we see and experience a little more than we have in the past. So for our first week, let's talk a little bit about the flight over.
So I like to give myself a gift every time we go on a trip. And that gift is a clean house and clean sheets when we get home.
Oh my gosh.
So that is a lot of prep work, right? I mean, nothing's worse than coming home with a bag full of laundry and a jet lag and unpacking, and then on top of that you've got a dirty house. And not to mention, like, just, you know, one time, okay, side note, funny story, one time long time ago, we were managing apartments, and we would help other managers when they would like go on a trip, and so we would help kind of manage their apartments for them. And one time we helped out another fellow couple that was managing apartments, and they forgot to take out their trash and a couple other things. And so when we showed up a couple days later to collect their rents and to post everything, their apartment smelled like
Death.
The worst thing you can possibly imagine. It was horrible. And that's kind of always stuck with me. It's like, I do not want to come home to a house that's been sitting and reeking. And not to mention all the things that just might invite into your home. So the night before we left, we were up until about 2:30?
At least 2:30. So Catherine
a.m.
and I also decided, like, a couple weeks before we left on our trip, to do some home renovations. So I was building a wall in our entryway, doing some...
We were knocking down a wall and then building a wall on top of it.
Some vinyl, some sheetrock. We sold all our chickens before we came, which was super sad because...
It just cost a lot to feed them while we were gone, and then the ordeal of asking somebody to tediously come every single day.
So long story short, we did a lot of preparations for the house. Getting the sprinkler... It took me like 2 weeks to get the sprinklers, make sure they're working right for our landscapers and people who were staying. But on top of that, we thought we were doing pretty good. We thought we had a real handle on things.
Well, we had this whole list. We were crossing things off and making progress. And...
But the problem with cleaning your house when you have 4 kids is you can't clean it until the end, because no matter how clean you get it, they will destroy it right behind you. So we really couldn't finish cleaning it until after they'd gone to bed. And so we got done about 2:30.
2:30 a.m.
And then we had to be up at 4:30 for our flight.
Yeah.
Which means that we couldn't sleep anyway.
Yeah.
But we did it on no sleep. Had to call 2 Ubers to take us to the airport.
Well, we called the first Uber, and we did an XL, of course, because we have 4 kids. And they had to put down the back seat just to fit all of our luggage. Now, normally we are super light packers. Like, we do not want to take a bunch of stuff with us. We want to focus on the experiences and what we're going to do there. We don't want to focus on the things that we're taking with us. But knowing we were going to be stationary, and 3 months is a long time. It's a fourth of the year. It's a significant amount of time. And, we needed to have a significant amount of things to live somewhere for a significant amount of time. And we didn't know a lot of the things that we'd be able to have here. And it turns out that there are a lot of things that we should have needed to bring, and we didn't know. So anyway, so notoriously, we don't pack a lot, but this time we checked 4 bags alone. Mm-hmm. And granted, 2 of those bags, all of the bags were actually packed pretty light because we wanted to have an extra suitcase for the stuff that we would buy here. Souvenirs and things that we found that we liked, kids' clothes or whatnot, just various things that you end up picking up when you're living in a place.
Yeah, we usually make the mistake of packing to everything compact and tight, and so we have to buy a piece of luggage, and usually it's a piece of luggage to take anything extra home. So we wanted to take plenty home. And
the last time we were in Asia, we were in Japan, and we did buy an extra suitcase because of all the things we loved, and we kind of thought Korea might be similar. So anyway, one of those bags was an extra suitcase, and then we brought our standard carry-ons. So we had a carry-on full of equipment. Since Gabriel was going to be teaching, he brought a lot of like electronical things, Wacom tablet, etc. And then we brought a carry-on bag full of like medicine type things that of course you never want to check. And then we had a bag of snacks, just kids' favorite snacks, and then another carry-on bag of, I don't know, I think baby stuff?
I think so.
Maybe?
I think it's baby stuff.
Anyway, so that was the first Uber. Gabe got in I was going to go with the little girls, and then I was like, you should go, because you're going to have to get all the luggage out. Not that I can't handle the luggage, it's just the baby sees me and she can't function, so.
Yep, so
I followed up. Yeah. You called a lift, followed up with the twins, and then we were just right behind them.
Yeah, pretty streamlined. And as far as the flight over, I don't think there's a whole lot to say. It went pretty smooth.
So we flew Delta. We flew Delta both both segments. First, we had to fly Seattle, and then we had to fly Seattle straight to Incheon.
Which was a 15-hour flight?
No, it was 17 hours altogether, including arriving at the airport and the layovers. I think the flight itself was just shy of 11 hours and 19 minutes, I remember. And then the flight to Seattle was like a little under 2. So, yeah, it was fun. There was a lot of videos, a lot of movies we watched. I watched the one with that guy. What was it?
That one dude. Yeah, that was a good one.
It was an interesting movie, and like it stuck with me, and now I can't remember. Anyway, we watched some movies.
Yeah.
So we were picked up at the airport. It was they had a sign outside for us, which was really cool. So normally we're sloughing it, and we have to figure out how to get to our Airbnb or our hotel all on our own. So that was really nice. It was really neat to just go, and especially because we were so exhausted. We got to the global campus, so that's where Gabriel's going to be teaching. It's called the UAC, the University of Utah Asia campus. And we are here. There's also a SUNY Korea. There is a University of New York. Stony Brook College. Stony Brook. So there's quite a few. It's called
George
the
Mason.
Yeah, so it's the international campus. There's quite a few other schools here. And we got to our apartment. 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments. Actually pretty nice. One bedroom is at one end. The other bedroom and bath is at the other end. One's a master. We're sitting on the couch in the living room right now. There's a TV. Kitchen's that way. And air conditioners in the corner right here. Yeah. So it's actually really nice. But it is furnished in terms of furniture, but it's not furnished in terms of kitchenware or utensils or toilet paper or all of those towels, those types of necessities. So the majority of our first few days was figuring out what we needed to buy, what we could do without, and where we needed to get that stuff we couldn't do without.
So our first stop was the Daiso, which we were pretty excited to have a Daiso here. We'd shopped them before in Japan. They've got some in California, San Francisco, which we've never even been in the one in San Francisco.
No, we haven't yet.
Yeah.
There's some in LA too, but
as much as we like Daisos.
Yeah.
But we were able to pick up a few dishes, toilet paper, the necessities.
So right across the street from us is called Triple Street, and it's a giant like mall, and it's 4 sections. There's an A, B, C, and D section. So it's got the Daiso, it's got a bunch of restaurants, it's got just an Office Depot, just lots of little knick-knack other stuff. It's very convenient. We pretty much something we need, we can go over there and get it.
Yeah,
so, very convenient.
The place we're living in is called Songdo. It's it used to be ocean. I guess 14 years ago they kind of filled in the ocean and built a big city. Yeah, it's like a business district. So a lot of businesses, a lot of universities live here. Really, really nice. It's kind of like a well-planned, high-rise type cityscape.
Yeah. There's a Yonsei University close by, just down there. So just industrial.
Yep. Which we haven't even been to Seoul yet, other than when we went to Everland, I guess is technically Seoul. But I think one of the big difference between it and the rest of like Seoul and Incheon is that I think it's more catered towards cars and driving. Things are a little bit further apart, probably because it's a newer city. And there's so many high rises and they kind of planned it that way. So traveling around, we've either gone by subway or bus.
It's exhausting. To do really anything, it takes a while to get there. Like, we have a 15-minute walk to the subway. And if you want to take a bus, it's great. And the bus system is great. But, anytime you take a bus, you have a lot of stops. So going around and doing things just seems to take a lot of effort and a lot of work.
Yeah, we actually found a Costco, which is probably about 1.5 miles away. But by bus or subway, it takes quite a long time to get there. Yeah. And then we don't have a car, so either we pack stuff in the stroller or have to do a cart and a tote.
Yeah. So we've got one of those sit and stand strollers, so we can put stuff in the seat, and then there's the carrier underneath. It's like a basket, so you can't put anything too heavy in there. And then you've got the seat. So typically the seat and the footrest we've been using to put bottles of water on. And then yesterday where the seat is, we put a watermelon.
Did a
the
watermelon.
baby seat carrying the baby watermelon.
We found a watermelon that was less than $10. Most of them are like 20. Yeah, watermelons.
Expensive.
So that has been a big part of our first week is finding all the grocery shops, and I think we figured it out.
So we
know where they are.
How many have we been to? We've been to Eden Mart, been to Latte Mart,
Lottie Mart, Costco,
No
Brand,
Oh, and Home Plus.
Home Plus, and like all the 7-Elevens, and then there are smaller grocery stands.
Yeah, there's a CVS. It's called Oh, there's a GS25. That's more of like a little
7-Eleven convenience store. So lots of places to buy groceries. It's just we didn't know where and when and how. And we think after this first week, we've kind of figured it out to where we can get our kids and family good food without having to eat out all the time. And yet we still find ourselves eating out all the time. Yeah. There are a lot of really good restaurants, like really nearby.
Yeah. So far, Home Plus is the best grocery we've found so far. But we are not counting out that we might find a better one. But Home Plus is through Triple Street, through the Hyundai Premium Outlets, and then around the corner. So it's probably a half a mile or more away. So we'll see. The watermelon at Home Plus is like how we gauge how expensive a grocery store is, was 13,000?
Yeah.
13,000 won, which is roughly $10-11.
So let's talk about, we've talked about groceries, we've talked about our flight here, getting around our apartment, but let's talk a little bit about Korea now.
All right.
So where did we go this week?
All right. Well,
what's the biggest thing?
Biggest thing we did was Everland.
Let's talk about Everland.
All right. So we were going to go to Tokyo Disney this week. Tokyo Disney is our favorite Disney park. Like, we've been to all 6 Disney parks, and Tokyo Disney was our favorite. And we are like a hop, skip, and a jump, the Korean Peninsula, and we're there, and we were going to go. But unfortunately, I do not have an agreement flying standby with an Asiana airline that will fly direct. We'd have to go to Hong Kong first. We'd have to go to Taipei first, one or the other. And we considered going to Hong Kong Disney instead of Tokyo Disney because that's a direct flight. But because we couldn't fly to Tokyo Disney, we were like, well, what could we do here? Not necessarily that's the equivalent, but what could we do instead? And we found Everland!
So Everland is the biggest theme park in Korea.
And it has the largest wooden roller coaster in the world.
And everybody we talked to said, go to Everland. Yeah. It's like the Korean Disneyland.
Yeah. There's Lenny and Friends. And there's the place where happiness dwells.
So I've been to Everland and I don't know who Lenny is yet. I saw a tree that said Lenny's home on it. So it is
you would know who Lenny was if you looked at the website.
Oh, my bad. Because I didn't. I'm going to find out who Lenny is tonight.
Lenny and Friends.
And Friends.
Yeah. Well, that last roller coaster we went on, the kids said had Lenny and like some raccoon he was chasing.
Oh, okay.
So
Everland.
So the kids knew who Lenny was, just apparently it bypassed us.
So we had this expectation of Disneyland when we went to Everland. And so we woke up early.
As we should, because if you're going to build a theme park, why not build it after the best? That just makes sense to me.
So we woke up early, took a long taxi. We're able to get discount tickets online. If you're a foreigner, you can get cheaper tickets.
Well, why did we wake up early?
Well, we thought we were going to have to take the subway.
Okay, why else did we wake up early?
Because we wanted to be there when it opens.
Yeah, we wanted to be there when it opens.
Yeah, so you can get right on the rides and everything.
Get on as many rides, but everybody knows best time to go to a theme park is right when it opens and stay until closing. And those 2 windows of time, you can ride the most rides.
That's the general rule.
Yeah, so that was our plan. But at Everland, they've got different plans in store.
No, so Everland, you get there at opening, which is 10 o'clock, and they have a couple rides open, and everything else is closed until like noon or 1.
Most of it was 1. So we had 3 hours where we could virtually do nothing. Because the rides that were open were the big people rides. And we were traveling with little people.
So the biggest wooden roller coaster, other people had the same idea. They got there at open and ran straight to that line. So by the time we got there, it was like a 90-minute wait. And we didn't want to do that. We couldn't find anything else to do because everything else is closed, and we were not happy.
Sort of.
We're not happy.
Well, so then you can buy money to skip the line. Sorry. You can buy passes to skip the line, which is 13,000 won per person to skip the line. Okay? We have 6 people in our family. Only 3 people could ride the ride. So then we were looking at a minimum of 40,000 won, 39,000 won to be technical, to skip the line to ride this ride. Or we could wait 4 hours just for the 4 of us, because the other thing that Everland doesn't have is a rider switch pass.
Well, so you could pay 13,000 won per person to cut the lines, but even then it was a 30-minute wait.
Yeah.
So it took a long so it was just not worth it. And so
It was just rough.
So I think we walked around and then came back and noticed the line was shorter, or maybe it wasn't even shorter. We just noticed the times had changed. And so,
It was like you couldn't even see the line. It was all the way inside.
Yeah. So Miss Pie and Kat, I think they just opened up some stalls inside, and it made it look short.
Who knows? It looked short.
So we decided, you know what, Catherine and Miss Pie will just go stand in line, which they did, while I took the rest of the kids to get some ice cream and wait. And it was a long wait.
It was 53 minutes. I watched the clock.
Yep. So we got some ice cream and hung around. And then when we left, what happened when we left? Well, how was the ride, first of all?
So it was pretty awesome. I mean, I love thrilling rides. Like, the ride I really wanted to do was the one where they strap you in and then shake you around like you're in a blender. And I didn't get to do that one. But what's interesting is, like, you were, like, tucked in there. You know, like, you feel secure. Like, you've got straps on you here and straps on your legs, and you just feel secure. But you don't feel secure in a wooden roller coaster. Like, you've just got this little itty-bitty lap bar, and there's no railings on this side. And we were going up 183.83 feet in the air. And I'm looking over at my little daughter, who I love immensely, and I don't want anything to happen to. And my gut just, like, sank. Like, I was just like, you know, that's how you feel in a wooden roller coaster. Like, it doesn't feel safe. But it was awesome. It ended up being super, super cool. And Pie and I had a blast. We thought it was really fun.
So went on this fantastic roller coaster, got off. Did that put you in a good mood?
No.
No.
Because I was like, I really wanted Gabriel to experience it. But our son couldn't, because he was like half a centimeter too short. And then Pie could ride it again. But it was still a really, you know, it was an hour out of the day. And then we came back and the little girls were upset. And
And I was not ready to go stand in line for an hour.
yeah.
So after that, we went to the safari ride.
Yeah, so we went. No, I think we checked out the safari ride and then went back to the. No matter, like, we went on a safari ride.
So that kind of turned around our experience. Once we did the safari ride and started going on rides, things started opening. We found the rest of the park. So Everland isn't like Disney at all. So it's built in, like, kind of little mountainous hills and valleys. So you can't see any of the park from any of the areas. They have
You don't understand how big it is.
Yep. So they have an American area, a Europe area, the plants and animals area,
Magic area,
Land, the Magic Land,
The Zootopia.
Zootopia, plant. I think they have a Plantopia. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they have all these little lands, but the only thing that visually ties them all together is the big Ferris wheel that you can see, kind of in the center.
Like peeking, you can only see half of it peeking over the treetops.
Yeah. Other than that, you kind of have to take some gondolas or something to kind of even see what is around. But it's actually pretty big.
We posted a really cool picture of the Ferris wheel on our Instagram if you want to go check it out. It's just Diapers on a Plane, but yeah, you can only see the top half of the kaleidoscope Ferris wheel.
So things kind of turned around. So I don't think there's anything there that's not at, like, your typical amusement park.
Yeah.
It is owned by Samsung, which we thought was interesting. So it's like the Samsung Everland. I think I was reading on it that Samsung and Everland used to be two brands.
No, Samsung used to be called Samsung Everland.
That's right.
And then they probably realized that was a ridiculously long name for a brand people wanted to be able to talk about, and so they just switched it to Samsung.
Yep.
I mean, that's just me gesturing. I don't know why they changed it.
But if you're in Korea and you want to go to a theme park, we want to go back now, actually.
Yeah. Well, I'm torn. I do think it would be fun to go back, but I also feel like this baby could do pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
Which, you know, she's not really appreciating it, but it does create a problem when one parent has to stay behind with the child. You know, there's not like a land like at Disneyland where this baby can go on pretty much everything, and then you can do everything as a family. Widmore was just like I said, like a hair too short. A lot of the rides are 130 centimeters. There's quite a few that are 110, which was tall enough, but that was still too tall for Eclair. So we really had a hard time. Like, our family was just, like, too varied in order to really enjoy all the rides. So if we were to go back, it would be rough because it would still be like, oh, well, Widmore just can't quite do all of them, and Claire can't do most of them. So, but it was fun enough that we would want to go back.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Circumstances.
So I would have to ask, to sum it all up, Catherine, what do you think are the most unique things there that you saw?
So Raptor Ranger was the most unique. I mean, if anything turned around Everland for me, it was getting to meet a real live dinosaur face to face. Escape a real live dinosaur face to face. Yeah, raptors, not just a brontosaurus.
And you're chased by them.
And it's not one.
It's
was
multiple.
probably like 6 or 7, maybe 8. Like, I don't know. I was holding on to this baby and like running. I was just like, don't eat my baby!
So I think that one's hard to describe. But even the actors there were like busting up laughing because it's so ridiculously funny.
It was an escape room. So
Yeah.
you go in and you have to get the codes. You have to run by the raptors to get the codes and then input them at the locked doors, because I don't know who was controlling the dinosaurs. I'm going to guess it was Samsung in their biologics department, and they lost control. So then these dinosaurs wanted to eat us. We had to get the codes and we had to escape, and they just wanted to eat my baby. And you know, they seem to like the girls much more than the boys.
Yep.
And then all of the Raptor Rangers who lost control of them somehow don't know the codes or can't get the codes even though they're trained, so we have to get the codes for them, and they're just screaming, and they are trying to help protect us against the rain. I guess that's why. They were kind of trying to protect us against the raptors. That's why they couldn't get the codes to get us out. Yeah. But I mean, they were really in character screaming, "Go, go, go! Now! It's clear! Go, go, go!"
Yep.
It was fun.
So
really
if I went over the other unique things that differentiate it, something Catherine really loved was the singing and dancing.
Ride operators.
Ride operators, yeah.
Basa, 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 oh! Basa,
Yeah.
basa, basa, oh!
So all the ride operators are really into it. I think some of them make up their own songs, like the Peter Pan ride.
Yeah.
Peter Pan. Yeah, it was like, they were like super into it. They do dances.
There's a ride where you go forwards and then backwards, and the ride operator is facing you, and then she turns around when you go backwards, and then she leans over the railing and does her dance up in the air. Oh man, that is like, that's it. That's it right there.
On the safari ride, they have like 20 tigers, a whole bunch of lions, a whole bunch of live bears and hyenas. And I think the thing that makes that one unique is I guess it's kind of mimicking like the jungle safari in Disney World, where they actually drive the cars and vans into the lion pits, which they don't actually do at Disney World. So they drive them in, and if you pay like $200, you can go into a car that has bars on it, and they will actually let you stick out like pieces of meat for the lions to come up and eat from you, which is just insane. The lions will jump on the cars and follow you around. So that was unique.
They say the cars can fit 6 people, but they only recommend 4. So we didn't try it out. Like, we were still in our stage of like...
Probably could have done it with our kids.
Yeah, we were still in the stage of really being irritated by the fact that you had to pay extra money to ride these rides, that we didn't even give it a second thought. But now that I kind of wish we'd done it. It looked kind of cool.
I don't know. $200 is still kind of steep.
It is.
But
we don't know what all it involves.
But without the cars, you can go in the buses.
Yeah.
For free. The other unique thing was, which probably isn't unique to Korea, but I loved all the different kind of squid you could buy.
Yeah, peanut butter roasted.
Peanut butter roasted squid, which was amazing, and I'm like hungry for it right now.
And if you're a fan of churros and you were like we always have this list of the food we want to get when we go to Disneyland, you know, it's all healthy, and churros are always at the top of the list. But I don't know if you agree with this, but the churros have kind of like not been as good as they used to be. Like a decade ago, they were like so perfect and warm and crispy and perfect. That's how the churros are at Everland. Like now I feel like the churros taste old and overcooked at Disneyland. But the churros at Everland, I would go pay admission to just eat like a dozen more churros.
And the other unique thing they had, which we see a lot of here in Korea in general, is VR rides.
Yeah.
A lot of VR rides.
Yeah.
I think that sums up Everland.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was really fun. I would definitely go, especially if you have children that are on the taller end at 8 years old. They're pretty much going to be able to ride almost everything, and it was really fun. At Claire's age, at 4, and she's a little bit she's probably average, but there were areas like the Magic Land ride she could ride. But one thing that really bothered me was they had a playground at Magic Land, and it looked really fun. It was kind of like a obstacle course / playground, and she wasn't even tall enough to go on that. I'm just like, there's like a ball pit and some rope trapanja things to go across and a slide, but so that was a little disappointing.
Yep. So that's Everland. So another activity we did one day was we wanted to go to the Sinpo International Market, actually up in that area of Incheon.
Yeah.
There were a whole bunch of activities in the same proximity, so we chose that day to go up there. There was Chinatown,
Snowflake Youth Village,
the Sinpo International Market, the Fairyland,
Fairy Tale Village,
and I think there were a few other things.
Mm-hmm. The former old post office.
Oh, and the Confucius statue.
Yeah. So there's quite a few things. The General MacArthur Park,
the Korean Memorial.
Yeah.
So we went up there one day, and we were gonna hit a bunch of those, and we only ended up hitting a few because of the walk and the travel. But that's where we had one of my favorite foods of all time here, which is fried chicken, which it doesn't seem all that unique, but they have this fiery, flaming, caramelized fried chicken at the Sinpo International Market, which was amazing.
It was so good. Gabriel described it as eating hot lava.
Yeah, it was so good. Other than that, like going through that market, how would you describe that market? It's a really cool, like eclectic, like
it's got a bunch of local vendors. Yeah, that just sell their wares out there every day. Lots of fish with like fans, going around. Lots of dried fish, dried spices, dried beans. I guess beans are already dried, so fresh beans.
Live fish. They had like
lots of live turtles.
Live turtles you could eat. It's supposed to be really yummy. Lots of food. So kind of a food like.
There was like a secondhand clothing store. Yeah. We got some steamed buns, some bao.
Yeah. It's like one of those permanent farmer market type things. And
we saw a lot of groceries there. After we had been to a couple grocery stores, the groceries there were so much less expensive.
Prices were great.
Yeah, but you had to travel with them home.
Yeah. So after we got the fiery chicken, we went on a big long walk to try and find the Fairyland village.
Fairy Tale Village.
Fairy Tale Village.
So it's this old neighborhood where it was kind of getting run down, and the government kind of stepped in and said, what's something fun we could do here to kind of build it back up? And so every sidewalk is painted, every staircase is painted, every fence is painted. They've turned restaurants and businesses into castles, and there's a fairy tale story on every single building, from Beauty and the Beast to Peter Pan to Tinkerbell to Alice in Wonderland to everything you can imagine.
Yeah. So I think there's not one specific thing there you go to see. You go there to walk through and take pictures and see all the decor.
Yeah, just let your imagination and creativity flow. So while we were there, we didn't know about this when we headed there, and this is part of the reason we didn't do much else, is we found this trick art story museum. So you download an app, and then you get to go in, and there's all these images on the walls, and they're either augmented reality or just optical illusions, and you get to take pictures with the app, and it looks like you're in the scene that they painted on the wall. So you've got like the really famous painting where he's touching the hand of God. What's that one called?
I can't remember.
And he ends up pouring milk, and then you're holding the milk cup.
So I don't think that's unique to Korea, but it was fun in that area. It kind of fit the theme. Yeah. I think I've seen Facebook pictures of people doing that in Salt Lake and stuff.
Well, all the ones that I could find were all in Asia, but maybe there's some in the States. I don't know.
But it was super fun.
It was super fun.
We'll show some pictures in the video version of this podcast.
Oh, look, this is one of the ones we did right here.
Here you go. Here's another one.
Look, Mabel's escaping dinosaurs.
I'll have to put that one there. But that was a lot of fun. So then we ended up walking around, taking a lot of pictures. Walked into China. By the time we got to Chinatown, it was pretty late in the day.
Super late. And
we were getting really hungry. And so we went into this Chinese restaurant, and the prices were crazy, and so we walked out of that Chinese restaurant.
$40 a plate. Yeah. And, with 6 people, you got to buy at least 3 plates.
So I don't know if that's typical, but that kind of concluded our trip to Sinpo International
So we walked out through Chinatown. We didn't really get to do much else to get to the subway, but we saw lots of strawberries on skewers. That seemed to be Very popular.
Yeah. Yep. So what else? What else is there? Champions.
So they have. So if you're familiar at all with Japan, Japan has a lot of cafes, like cat cafes, animal cafes, other sorts of cafes, and Korea has same. But they also have a lot of kids cafes. So you can go play Legos at a kids cafe. You can go play arcade cafes. But what makes it a cafe is that you pay. It's like Korean babysitters. It's like you're paying money to just drop your kids off while you go, do whatever you want.
Yeah, so for like $10 per kid, you can book them into these play areas for 2 hours. And that is something that Catherine and I are probably going to do frequently while we're here, just so we can have some time to spend together. So I think those are going to be our date nights.
Yeah.
As we go put these kids in, except for this one, but we'll put the rest of the kids in these little daycare. They love it. Yeah. So they have
So the one they've been to so far is a Champion Sports Kids Play Area, and it's basically like a big gym. And they've got a giant ball pit. They've got an obstacle course with rings and things you climb over. They had virtual baseball, virtual soccer. They had a go-kart bicycle arena.
Rock climbing.
Yeah, rock climbing.
Trampolines.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of, and all the obstacle courses. So
there's slides that you would get in an inner tube to go down. Just super fun.
And what I notice is on the weekends, it's just jam-packed with kids. But on the weekdays, our kids are like the only ones there, which is great. And because we live next to 3 malls jammed together, and we haven't even scratched the surface of all the shopping and stores in them. So Catherine and I are able to wander around, check things out, and have fun.
Yeah. We totally went and got some Burger King and pastries the first time they went, and I actually went in with them, because I thought that's what I'm used to doing. I'm just not used to leaving my children. So we went in there, and then they were just done. They were off, having so much fun. So I texted Gabe, and I was like, he was sending me pictures of all the stuff he was finding, and I was like, come get me. Yeah. I'm just sitting here. So
I should mention too, one thing I love about Korea, and this is what I'm hearing even from the other American people who live here, and what we're noticing is they love children here. It's very family friendly.
Yeah.
And so nobody's ever annoyed at kids.
Yeah.
Kids run around, and they're obsessed with this one right here.
Yeah. So we've been stopped over 100 times because they want to talk to her. They want to look at. They want to hold her. Just perfect strangers want to come up and just grab her from me, and that's very unsettling to me. I don't mind kiss her face. That's a big thing here too. But do not grab her out of my hands. In America, that's called stealing and kidnapping, and so that's very uncomfortable for me.
But they're just goo over that little girl. Yeah. So super family friendly. One thing I want to point out is they love corn dogs as well. So our first night we got some corn dogs, and these corn dogs were exactly like the corn dogs we're used to in the States, right? Mm-hmm. No. Actually, they looked like what we're used to. I think they're really good though, but they are a lot sweeter.
Very much sweet, and they're dipped extra. You can barely see the hot dog in the center because they have so much batter on them.
And it's a sweet batter. So we're used to the cornmeal type batter at home. So actually, they're sweet, but then they have what I thought was salt that you could put on them, which is actually sugar.
I didn't know that.
So they'll take the corn dogs and they'll sprinkle sugar on them. And then they'll put the sweet ketchup, and I think it's a sweet mustard on top.
It's like a dessert.
But they're good.
I wouldn't want another one.
I will. I'll eat a lot more. They have some that are even dipped in French fries. And so it's a French fry corn dog.
There's another thing called Korean walnut cake. It's if you're familiar with Ebbelskivers or maybe Oliebollen if you've been to Amsterdam. But it's a batter that's cooked with walnuts and an Ebbelskiver pan, and they cook it together, and then it's got a mung bean paste in the middle, and that's a delicacy here. We've tried those, and they're very bland. I thought they were very bland. The kids ended up liking them. We meant to order 12. Miscommunication. We ordered 21, but we ate them all. So that's one thing. Another thing I was going to point out is they're obsessed with moon pies here.
Yeah, lots of moon pies.
Yeah, and
fish food.
Many dried fish. Dried fish is a big one. Yeah. So I think that's about it for week 1. I was going to see if there was anything else.
We have a little list we're making here.
What is this, 1 to 3 hours?
It takes about 1 to 3
to get anywhere.
1 to 3 hours to get anywhere. That was kind of my comment. So even like when we went to Everland, we ended up taking a taxi, which was really expensive, but it only took 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the night before, the map system that I was using to tell us how long to get some places said 2 hours via public transportation. Then when we woke up, it was actually 3.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to get there 2 hours after it opened, so we opted for a taxi. But I've noticed no matter where you're going, it's kind of like 1 to 3 hours. If you want to go to Seoul, it's 1.5 to 2 hours. If you want to go to Incheon Central, 1.5 to 2 hours. That seems to be the standard.
Yeah, so I think the takeaway from this week is we're tired.
We're exhausted. So the beds are really hard here, and we're still trying to figure that out.
And they don't sell American fitted sheets. So they put like this thin blanket type thing over the top, but it's not a blanket you would drape over yourself. It's like stiffer, and it's like the size of the bed. So it's long and rectangular. Almost like if you were laying like, and it would just cover your body, but you'd have to be very still.
So that was one of our primary reasons for going to Costco, was to find 4 big pillows.
And hopefully some bed sheets, but they just don't sell bed sheets here because it's not a commodity. It's not something people want.
But we got some bed sheets that were close enough. We got some that's okay though.
So, if you want to talk about it
Okay. So we're looking for bed sheets.
So they don't have bed sheets here. It's just not something Koreans like. That's just not part of their culture. So that's one thing. The pillows. We went to Costco to get the pillows. But the beds are just hard. It's just hard to sleep, and they're small. Which, when you're used to a king size bed, like a full, just feels very small. And I don't know what this one does at night, but like, my bed looks normal when we wake up, and his is like. Everything's off of it. It's like chaos.
I don't know. So in summary, if we had to summarize, sleeping has been rough, partly because of the jet lag.
That was partly, but I think by day 4 we were starting to wake up at like 8 a.m.
We're kind of over that. But we were waking up at 4. The kids were waking up at like 3.
Yeah, of course that was
wide
rough.
awake.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping in the end of week 2 we'll kind of have the sleep thing figured out. But I think to summarize, our first week in Korea, it's been phenomenal. Like awesome,
incredible,
awesome. Love it.
Love it.
So we are looking forward to
week 2.
Week 2 is our last week to kind of travel and do whatever we want before I have to start working the next week.
No, 3 weeks.
Oh,
all right, fans. Thanks for listening, fans. If you want to check out what we did in more detail, you can check out our blog. We have a daily journal, day by day. We kind of mentioned that at the beginning. We are doing postings on social media, just kind of as they happen. It's probably a different time zone than you are, but I don't know how many Korean fans we have, but we love you. Yeah. And next week we're going to learn how to say, we love you, Korea.
Yeah. So 5 stars on iTunes. Follow us. Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Always at Diapers on a Plane. It's kind of a unique name, so that should be easy to find.
Anyway, Diapers on a Plane. Check us out. And we love you.
Peace.
Our fans.
Bye, fans. Super fans.
It's funny because I don't think we have very many listeners.
We do too. We have 1 million.
Oh.
We're getting very popular. I think we have 4.
Send us an email, and we'll use your name in our podcast.
Ooh, we should do like some kind of shout out.
Yeah.
No, you guys, listen. Send us any questions, comments you have, and we
recommendations. We need recommendations of what to do here in Incheon, in Korea, in general, in Seoul.
Let's be honest. We don't know what we're doing with this podcast, but if you send us a comment or question, we'll give you a shout out, and we will mention you by name.
Instagram handle
on this very popular podcast.
Facebook, YouTube channel.
We're blowing
just
up.
Your name. Send us a picture. We'll put your picture
we'll put a picture on there.
Right there.
As long as it's fully clothed.
Oh my goodness. Send us a family-friendly picture, please.
Yes. Okay, thanks for watching, listening, and being our best friends. Goodbye.